Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 43. Well, this is a bit awkward. Normally, I would go on about how we will do this and that today, all based on what should come next logically. However, I did discover the reason for the steady fall in happiness in the last dozen or so episodes. I won't spoil the surprise, but I will say that I did touch on the general sector briefly in the last episode. Just not on the relevant part of the chain. Because of this, not much will be accomplished today. I thought it necessary to take care of the problem. We could have coasted along fine for a long time still, but it's best if we nip it in the bud. So, let's take a look at the problem. Because I didn't want the problem to progress any further, I did put a complete pause on the game until the new buildings are in place. Okay, anyone with a faint of heart should look away now. It's not going to be pretty. Oh geez, that's a lot of crimes going unsolved in the city. No wonder the prisons were barely a third full in the last episode. And the list just keeps on going and going and going. Not gonna lie, when I discovered this, I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of the situation. Now, I did go through some options to fix it, and using 2 normal-sized police stations would have done the trick, but to completely solve the problem, it would have taken years of game time to reach an equilibrium. So, to speed things up, I decided to build 3 more stations. Needless to say, we are going to put these constructions on high priority. Although, they will be the only things being built, so it won't really make a big difference. Fortunately for us, Rob did have 2 different full-sized police stations on the workshop, so all of the police buildings will be a different model. We did have problems with unemployment recently. I guess this is one way to take care of it. That's 2 more police stations. As I've said, technically this would have been enough, but I would like to take care of the problem quickly. So let's just squeeze in a third one, this time using the vanilla building. The current small courthouse would be very quickly overwhelmed with this volume of crime, so we better build the big one. In the meantime, the electrification of the new distribution center is underway. Won't be long before we can finally start using it. Just like the courthouse, the current prison is nowhere near big enough to accommodate the impending influx of new prisoners. Time to bring out the big one. I was wondering what I would place at the very edge of the island. I guess a prison is kind of fitting. We are out of range for the bulldozers. Oh well, this terrain will do, I guess. That should do it for the new police buildings. We just need to wait for them to be completed. While we wait, we can turn our attention to other things. Like the power station, for example. Not gonna lie, I think I am kind of finished with using cars now. This is the only workplace the car owners can reach, and the amount of workers never went above 50%. While I was busy experimenting with the crime situation, I did take a look at this too, and tried to use either cars or buses exclusively, and cars were always like this. Staffing never went above 10. I think we can call this experiment a failure. I'm afraid the era of cars are at an end. The age of buses is nigh. To be fair, I didn't want all those shiny metal boxes go to waste, so I did give them a second lease on life. Instead of using them to staff a workplace with few worker slots, let's try using them for a big industry instead. We just need to find a suitable alternative. But the fact that I kept the steel mill's window open for so long will tell you what I went with in the end. And the new distro center is almost done. Only one stretch of rail tracks remain. Yeah, let's just go with the steel mill. It has a lot of open worker slots, so even if we let all the cars descend on it, I doubt it will affect the buses all that much. Which is what I suspect the source of the problem was. All those cars take a long time to reach the power station, and they reserved a slot for themselves in the meantime, so all those microbuses just kept on moving workers around endlessly, never actually dropping them off, since the power plant was technically full already, just most of the slots were reserved way too early. This is not the only change we will do about the power plant staffing issues though. During my tests on the matter, I did also discover that adding too many buses to the end stations is less than ideal. To ensure that we have enough room for future expansion, we should take off the lines that don't really benefit from using it. For now, I just told the power plant microbuses to stop using it, and just go with a regular spaced out line. Later, I will do the same with the Kirchhoff buses. But I am happy to say, the new distribution center is open for business. First, we need to start moving the goods in. To ensure that we don't go wild on our food supply, I decided to fill up the warehouse slowly, so I only set the fill rate to 20%. Next, the actual distribution office. I just told it to start delivering things to the 3 closest shops. This will give these shops some extra options for bringing in goods. I suppose I should have told the old distro center to stop delivering to the farthest market, so only the middle ones would have 2 offices dealing with them. Let's hope I remember to do it in the future. Now, we did get a notification that the farm warehouse is out of food. This prompted me to make extra sure that we are okay. So I took a look at the production and consumed quantities for the bread. We've been more or less stable in terms of population in the last 2 years, so I just used that time period. Technically speaking, we are still overproducing food a little bit, but I would feel better if had more of a buffer. For that, we need more farms, since the biggest limiting factor is the lack of grains. Let me just quickly level out this area to make room for another farm field. We are technically at our limit right now, but we do have 2 small fields, which we could just replace with bigger ones, which will increase the overall production. I am just relieved that we have options. If push comes to shove, we could just start importing grains. We have the production capacity for bread, just not for crops. Okay, let's wait for that mud to dry out. We can just place another field in the meantime. This place looks promising. Yeah, it will be fine. Let's take care of the busy work though, just placing it is not going to be enough. Okay, it's recognized by the agrofarm building. At this point, we might as well get rid of one of the small fields, so the machinery doesn't waste any time on it. To finish it, we just need to add the new field to the distribution offices, and it's pretty much good to go. And since I was here, How about we go ahead and replace the current stable of trucks? Their speed is perfect for these gravel roads, but to be honest, speed isn't everything. Capacity counts too. So, to increase throughput a little, some shiny new Kamaz trucks were brought in to replace the old Skoda ones. Since we are struggling with food right now, I did not want to waste any of the harvest, so I just let the trucks finish their current deliveries, and only sell them once they are leaving the grain silo. And that does it. The farming trucks are all upgraded. And the new police stations are starting to come online. To start using them properly, we need some cop cars though, so let's buy as much as we can. We've been using blue ones all this time, so let's just keep up with the color scheme. The remaining ones are still heavily under construction. Enabling the notifications for completion will let us know when we can start buying things for them. And the cop cars barely set foot in the new station, and they are immediately off to crime scenes. I kind of wish police stations had a notification for unsolved crimes. Would be a good warning system. And this is where I will take the Kirkimov commuter line out of the end station. I don't think it's really necessary to have those in there. And the crimes are starting to pile up in the new police station. Let's hope the new ones get built quickly, so it doesn't get too overwhelmed like the old one did. Same goes for the new courthouse and prison. No point catching criminals if we can't put them away. And I finally remembered that we need to continue working on the railroad. It has no bearing on other constructions, so they can continue working. First, let's take care of the last remaining segment in the new hub, and then we can move on to electrification. And I think we can stop building the tracks going toward the new city. We have bigger fish to fry. Once that segment is done, we will start upgrading the coastal railroad. Nice, police station number 2 is finished. Let's fill up the parking lot, and let it get to work. Next, we still need to have meat in the new distribution center. As always, a nice little train will take care of that for us. And that's that. Once it arrives, we can set it up properly, and send it on its way. Wow, that's quite a bit of traffic. Let's give the incoming side a bit of a leg up by increasing the green timer on that side. We can just put it back down to the old value once the constructions are finished. Damn, I wish we had more control over the lanes in the game. The lane switching AI is a bit daft to say the least. And the last segment in the new hub is about to be completed. Let's just quickly set up the new freezer train before we move on to the electrification. Since all the regular deliveries will come in from the west entrance, I purposefully told the meat train to use the east entrance, so there is less chance of it blocking the distribution arrivals. As always, it will stop for a full unload in the station, so it's not wasting power by going back and forth with full wagons all the time. And that's that for the police stations. 3 of them should take care of the backlog quickly. Sadly, all the cases already in the old station will have to be allowed to expire all on their own. We cannot really do anything about that. And the courthouse was also completed. It won't do much good until the prison is also done, so sadly, it will be a kind of catch and release situation going on until then. But at least we can finally get started on the coastal rails. It's been a long time coming. Oops, I accidentally upgraded the construction crossing. The track layers will be confused until they are done, unfortunately. I was wondering why I don't see any crimes in the new police station, but then I noticed that the parking lots are empty. The cars are out collecting evidence. It will be full soon enough. And I'm glad to say, the old station's backlog is starting to decrease. The new ones are quite busy picking up the slack too, really glad to see. And the old prison is already overcrowded. We really need to pick up the pace on that new one. It's a big project though, so we just need to let it run its course. This is where I finally remembered to stop exporting wood. It just chews through the forest for very little profit. Don't worry, I will remember to put in that other big farm field soon. I'm always anxious when a power-related building catches fire. Never a good thing. The third police station has a relatively light workload. It seems we managed to catch up to the current crime rate. And the prison is close to completion now. Only needs a couple more brick deliveries. Uh-oh, power troubles. All the construction vehicles going through that busy intersections is starting to interfere with the microbuses. Good thing the prison is almost done, so things should be back to normal pretty soon. Dang, it seems the prison is out of range for the local substation. We will need to build another one to ensure proper operations. Shouldn't take too long with high priority. We just need to add the necessary deliveries, and things should be back to normal, at least I hope so. And since we have meat at the distro center already, we can redirect the freezer trucks. You might remember that we had one shop having to use 2 of them to ensure proper supply. We can just use one of them for the usual full unload setup, only this time using the new distribution center, since it's closer, and the second truck can do the same, but for the prison. And that should do the trick. Good thing the prison has 2 parking lots, so we can leave the freezer truck in one of them all the time. Now we just need to give the line the proper name, and it's done. Well, not quite. The prison is struggling with staffing. I forgot that the apartment blocks that are in walking range are still in test mode, only have around 20 to 30 families living there. We need to open the floodgates, or the prison will never function properly. I didn't notice the problem right now, but I will in a little bit. It seems we cannot assign the remaining segments on the construction crossing. There isn't enough room for the track layers to turn around in. I will deal with that later, but it is time for me to realize that the prison is not doing so good right now. After checking which of the houses is in range, and checking that they don't have any complaints about missing services, I open the gates for regular families to move in. I think the other building is just barely not able to reach the prison, so if we build an extra footpath, the problem will be solved. And staffing is starting to improve in the prison. That will take care of the escapes. At last, I remembered that we can place another field. We just need to do the same we did with the other new addition. That will increase the grain production a bit. It will just need some time for the new harvest to come in. The prison itself is doing all right now, but I would feel better if both of the big apartment blocks had access to it. Time to take care of that construction crossing. We just need to add a couple waypoints, so the long tracks get broken up into smaller segments. Since the track layers have been busy, the new shorter segments are already finished, which gives them enough room to turn around. That should do it. Once they are done, we can leave them alone for a while. And that footpath is complete, time to open the other apartment block. However, that one did complain about religion, so let's build a new mourning hall nearby. It doesn't really need a road connection, let's just use footpaths. I think we can safely leave the prison alone now. The number of escapes have been sitting on 21 for quite a while, so it's safe to assume that it will manage from now on. And the crossing is almost done. Only needs a couple catenaries. That does it. The duo can be left alone to work on the coastal railroad now. Well, mostly. The upper lane is broken up by bridges and tunnels, so we need to keep an eye on that one. As for the crime statistics, the overall rate is unchanged unfortunately, but at least we have the capacity to deal with it. Since the old police station is still dealing with the old backlog, we still have some investigations that go unsolved, but it will go down to zero soon enough. Yeah, only 3 of them remain, the rest are all new cases. I think the crime issue can be considered solved. Since the lower lane on the railroad also ends at a bridge, we might as well enable notification on that one too. Once they reach the end of the current segment, they will need some guidance, since new segments will be out of range for automatic assignments. Maybe I should upgrade the Kirkomov distribution office. It's been using old trucks for ages now. I guess I'll do it in the next episode. And for the rest of the episode, I just pad out the runtime with some decorating. I didn't want to start working on anything big so close to the end. It does give me the chance to float an idea I had. Since the Dwarf Fortress series kind of fizzled out on me, I was thinking about starting something new, and I think I would like to start a series on Transport Fever 2, which would have an episode once a week on Wednesdays. This series would be unaffected. I was thinking of going for TF2, since it would allow me to use the same kind of narration style I use here. As for the series itself, here's what I had in mind. It would be heavily centered around using assets from the United Kingdom, from around the London area to be more specific. Now, there are quite a few series on YouTube that are attempting to recreate the city in the game, so I would obviously not try to do that too. Instead, it would be just a regular random map, with the cities renamed for the different London boroughs, like Westminster, Camden, Wembley, etc. I already had an idea what to name the series. London Divided. Or, Reconnecting London. Something along those lines. I would not go for absolute realism, and I would make a lot of amateur mistakes as I try to recreate some of the UK's train system on the map, but I've been feeling rather nostalgic about my time in London, so I thought I would scratch that itch with the series. I've been downloading all sorts of mods for the game lately, and I already have a good collection of UK-based assets, like the iconic red double-decker buses, some of the more recognizable train from the tube, as well as the DLR networks. Sadly, I couldn't find any mods for the overground trains, only managed to find the DLR models. Quite a shame, those are some really nice looking trains. I also got some pretty neat stations ready to go, even managed to grab a neat mod that will allow me to place fences around the tracks without having to place them segment by segment. I suppose the biggest hurdle I will need to overcome will be the fact that the Brits use left-hand drive on their railroads too, and I've been only using right-hand drive in all my games until now. Well, that's the idea anyways. As I've said, I've been feeling very nostalgic lately, so it felt like a good idea for a series. Plus I've been really struggling with the terrain system in this game lately, and I would love to play something that does terrain deformation a bit better, where vehicles actually drive on roads, not on the terrain under said roads. Sure, the economy system is nowhere near as complex as it is in this absolute gem of a game, but it is a pretty good platform for doing visually pleasing things. Don't get me wrong, Workers and Resources does have its moments, but to be perfectly honest, I am secretly hoping 3 Division would talk with the devs of TF2, and license their engine for their next project. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, then leaving a like and subscribing to the channel just might motivate me to make more. If you are more in the donating mood, you can find a link to my Ko-fi page in the description, where you can buy me a glass of water. I don't really drink coffee. Thank you for your support, and until next time, I will see you later.